Hello, welcome back to the show. I'm Russell.
I'm Arianna.
Oh yeah, the name of the show is Nothing and Everything. I forgot to say that at the top. Ben isn't here. He's on a space voyage. I'm making up reasons why Ben isn't here each week until Ben gets back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be like an ongoing bit. It's like, Jimmy Kimmel, where it's like, oh, we didn't have time for Matt Damon this week. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. How was your week? How was your trip?
It was good. I went up to Montreal for a couple days with the fam. It really reminds me of like downtown New York with all the cobblestone streets and all the nice architecture.
Mm-hmm.
But not as crowded and not as stressful.
Yeah, downtown's always stressful. I mean, yeah.
Like,
and
there was a lot of people, but it was like in the morning there was like no one out. Every store opened at like 11.
That's the key.
Yeah,
right there.
And then, stores closed early too. Like, we went to go to this one mall and it closed at 6 and we didn't know that. So we showed up at 6. They're like, yeah, we're closed. We're like, oh, that was our plan until dinner at 8. So we just went back to the hotel for 2 hours.
You know what that makes me think of? Have you seen the movie Shrek?
Yes.
I actually recently Jesus Christ. I recently rewatched Shrek, which I don't know why that was a good idea. But when they go to like Lord Farquaad's castle and everything's like weirdly perfect? That's just what I'm envisioning from Montreal, where it's like something's wrong. It's really nice, but something's wrong here.
Yeah, it was funny. We couldn't check into the hotel until 4 p.m. The day that we came in, but we landed at 8:45 in the morning.
Nice.
So they let us keep our luggage. It was super nice of them. Helped us out a little bit. Our hotel was right up down the block from the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Uh-huh.
My dad's into seeing the churches with architecture, so that was our first stop. Had to be.
Mm-hmm.
There was no line. We walked straight in.
Yeah.
Went right to the booth. Obviously had to pay a little fee to get in, to walk around.
Yeah.
We walk around the town a little bit, come back around maybe 1:30 to get some lunch. The line wrapped around the block, all the way down to the other end.
Damn. That's
and
wild.
I was like, see, this is why you come with me. I go early.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. We're like, all right, this is the one time you were right in that sense.
No, I understand. Especially the church thing. When I went to Spain and Italy, my parents are like we're going to see every single church in the entire city, even though only, let's say, a handful of them are really cool. It's like, okay, guys, this is like the 9th cathedral today. And I mean, in Rome, it's really cool because a lot of them are old temples that are converted into churches. Mm-hmm. And going to see the Vatican, which is really cool. It's just a museum of stolen shit that the Catholic Church is like, this is ours now. This is a Catholic thing. And they're like, pretty sure that's from the Roman Empire, or I'm pretty sure that's Greek, and I'm pretty sure that you guys didn't build this. But it's cool. Yeah, going to see churches is cool, especially if you grew up being Catholic. So it's like, this is what they were talking to us about in school.
And my dad did manage to find the one church that had Mass in English while we were there. Because every other one is in French, because it's French Canada. So we were like, but I was like, look, we go at like 4 o'clock, or we go Sunday morning where we won't know what's happening. And I said, you guys might not know what's happening. Cause I do know a little French, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know
the whole Mass. But it's like, I think it's the same thing, just say another language. So we were kind of, get the gist of it.
Yeah, embarrassingly, I don't know why we're talking about this. Usually we don't talk religion. We're not telling you what to believe or what not to. We went to Catholic schools. Partially because you're from wherever you're from on the East Coast, which is a mystery. And I'm from Chicago, and everyone in Chicago, if you're like Catholic, goes to like single gender Catholics like high schools. That's like a thing. So like I went to an all guys Catholic high school. I have other friends who did the same thing. Not even at my high school, just different ones. So yeah, that's not me just being like a religious bumping person. Because I don't remember the last time I went to church. It's probably in high school. No, it wasn't. It was when I was at Purdue, and it was Ash Wednesday, and I was like, I'm going to show off that I have ashes on my head. And that was like when I was like a junior in college. So that was a little while ago. But hanging out with Jesus, it's cool.
Yeah, I went Saturday. The church was very nice. It was very old. It's been there for, since the 1800s, so it was, really cool to see that.
Yeah.
I did walk the same row that Celine Dion walked when she got married.
That's pretty
dope.
That was
pretty cool. Yeah,
Celine's
she got married
my girl.
in Notre Dame, so, I walked the same steps.
Hell yeah. Celine's my girl. But yeah, I was going to say a thing. Oh, I'm sorry if you guys can hear my dogs. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. If you can't, I'm sorry. There's bunnies outside, and my dogs are bunny crazy. And they're, I have 2 small schnauzers, and they're terriers. And when they see bunnies, they go, werewolf mode. And they're just I just want to fucking kill the bunny so bad. So if you can hear that in the background, I'm so sorry. But that's what that background noise is. It's bunnies. Or my dogs reacting to bunnies. But yeah, I'm glad you had a good time in Montreal. That's good. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is your birthday gift. It's a podcast. Actually, I am sending you something.
Oh, you don't have to.
Thank you. I'm aware. I'm just being a dick. But no, I actually am sending something.
Well, true, because you said that, I did get you something from Montreal, so...
Podcast.
Awkward.
Hell yeah, gifts. Yes! No, I actually am sending something over, just because I feel like it builds podcast camaraderie, because you, myself, and Ben all don't live in the same state. For people who are new to listening or aren't aware of that, we don't even live in the same time zones. And, yeah so...
Which I always forget, and I'll say, 6 o'clock, and then you're like, that's not my time. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, you're like 10 o'clock. I'm like, my time or your time? And you're just like, oh, my time. And I'm like, got it. Yeah. But yeah, we're on different time zones. There's news this week. Yes. I talked about it on the episode last week, which was the solo one, where it's just me talking to a computer for an hour, tearing the curtain back a little bit. Just me sitting in this room, in this chair, with a microphone in my hand, just spinning in circles in a chair, just being telling stories. But a new Star Wars trailer came out, and Disney has released a million new things that they're going to do, thus solidifying the fact that Disney is making everything. And you bet your sweet ass I'm going to buy the Disney streaming service, because I want to be able to watch things starting in November.
Wait, did you see that cheat sheet that I sent you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see that. But yeah, so and it's only $7, and you get ESPN, you get National Geographic, you get all the Hulu. Disney shit, and Hulu. That's a pretty...
And Spotify, because Hulu and Spotify are a thing.
Oh, yeah, I
think it's unconfirmed about Spotify, but I know if you buy Spotify Premium, you get Hulu. I think it's ad-free, I think.
No. How it works is I actually did it, but it doesn't work anymore. But maybe they're redoing it with Disney. So if you're listening to this and you have a student email, a .edu email, or I think even if you're a professor, and you have Spotify, go on to Spotify's website and look up the Spotify College program, the Spotify student program. You get it for $4.99 a month instead of $9.99 a month, and you get Hulu for free with it. But it's Hulu with ads, but you still get the $7 Hulu, and it's a pretty sweet gig. I actually should probably redo it, because now I have another student email.
Cheat the system.
But I think since it's a master's degree email, I don't think they care. I feel like it's for undergrads. They're you're a master's student. Who the fuck cares about you?
I think as long as it says edu or student.whateverschool.edu, I think you're fine.
That is my email. It's student.whateverschool.edu. Look me up. Email me. So I'm not talking about it on the podcast. I don't know why I'm bringing this up. So I changed my name on LinkedIn and my name on Facebook. Well, people could probably look that up. But one thing I realized, I have to get new business cards now.
Oh, yeah. And didn't you do that business card thing where it was 500 business cards for a certain amount of money? Yeah,
you can go on Vistaprint. This isn't an ad for Vistaprint, but also Vistaprint sponsor us.
Please.
Yeah, you can get wooden business cards. And you can get metal ones. I would love to get that'd be baller. Show up with wooden business cards. People are going to call you back.
Hang on, I'm going to look this up right now just to see how much it was.
Yeah, metal business cards are mad expensive. It's like $400 or $500 if you want like 500 of them. Because, I mean, it's expensive to like cut metal cards. Wooden ones, I think, are like $100 for 500, maybe.
So, I could be wrong. Standard, it's $100 for. They're on sale as of now for $7.99.
For wooden ones?
No, for standard.
Oh wow, that's actually a really good price. Hey, if anyone out there is looking for business cards, go to Vistaprint. Yeah, wow, that's actually a super good price. I need to get new ones. And I had to change my signature. That's something I'm relearning, is how to redo my signature with with my name that I changed. Guys, I didn't change my name to something crazy. I'm just using, like, my middle name as my first name.
Like, you didn't change it legally. You're just changing it creatively.
Yeah, I'm just using it as, like, a pen name, like J.K. Rowling. Or, like, George R.R. Martin. Like, I'm doing one of those. So, yeah. Whatever. But, yeah, so sorry, I keep getting distracted. I've been reading this recently. It's Mary Berry. It's one of Mary Berry's cookbooks.
I love Mary Berry.
Mary Berry is my girl.
I love her.
I'm legally obligated to mention Mary Berry on every
new season.
What?
Great British Bake Off on Friday.
But it's not with Mary. It's with Prue, isn't it? Or is Mary back?
I don't know. Because of where we live, we are behind in all of the seasons.
Yeah. So people living in England and Ireland and the UK and the EU will already have seen all of this, but us in America have not. So let's hope Mary Berry's back. Not that I don't like Prue. She's good, but she's not my girl Mary Berry.
I know.
But yeah, so that was a Mary Berry thing. Star Wars. That's the thing that's gonna be a thing forever, and we're gonna keep getting them for infinity. What'd you think of the trailer?
I mean, I did like how they brought, in the beginning, all, like, the older trailers and then merged it into the new one. I mean, it's a remake. I'm not excited for remakes.
Yeah, I was excited about it until they're like, P.S. we're bringing the Emperor back. And I'm like, you guys fucking killed the Emperor in like 1986. Come on, let's get new ideas. Not that I don't love J.J. Abrams. I think he's done some really good stuff. But I'm just not a crazy, massive fan of the new Star Wars movies. Except Rogue One, which is like the stealing the Death Star plans. That movie's cool because it's just like a war movie that takes place in space. So,
will I go see it?
Yeah.
Yes, because I want to see Carrie Fisher again.
Rest in peace.
Rip.
Yeah.
Will I be excited to see it? Not really, no.
I'm seeing it because we run a podcast and we are tethered to it through a horrible demon curse that is podcasting. So yeah, let's write it off on our taxes, which we should do. That's a real thing. Yeah. We can write off movies on our taxes. We can technically write off Netflix on taxes because we talk about it on the show. I mean, your dad's a lawyer. We should talk to your dad about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's a thing. One of my buddies does that for his show. Not shouting out who it is, but he does that for his. But yeah, that was a thing that came out. And the Joker trailer is a thing that happened. And I'm really excited about that movie because I love Joaquin Phoenix. I love Batman. I love the Joker. I love crime. And I love Martin Scorsese. And this movie has all of those things.
I'm super excited because some of the locations, I do know exactly where they were shot.
Yeah.
I want to see how they change it. I do know an extra that was on the movie.
Oh, yeah, because of where the nebulous place in which you work.
Yes, so I want to see him. He did talk about it when it was happening.
That's super cool.
But, I mean, I did like it. I like the whole psychological thing. Like, it's not just, the Joker with Batman. Batman's not even in it. It's just how Arthur, I think it's Fleck or Fleck.
Arthur Fleck, yeah.
Arthur Fleck became the Joker and what was like his tipping point, or if it was already in his mind. It's kind of like watching like the Mindhunter with learning about the serial killers. Like, what made you do it? And then they're like, I don't know, I kind of felt like it.
Exactly.
Oh,
I think it's really cool. It's very chilling, for sure, but I think it's fascinating to, like, so to speak, get inside the mind of people who are mentally ill in that way, who have the capacity to kill people or have the capacity to do these things. Because it's not like I'm an individual who is like, yes, I'd like to replicate this. It's more of a, how did you get to this place? Why? And like, what is it? Like I know it has a lot of like criticisms and it's very like controversial, but Bowling for Columbine, and that's a super interesting documentary because it just talks about essentially two normal-ish kids who did a real terrible thing. And I don't know how we got on this topic, but I think those are really interesting, like Mindhunter and like just watching anything about like Charles Manson or any serial killer. It's just like, whoa. Because it's like so foreign, it's almost like fiction. Because it's like, this is so different than any way I would ever think. But there are people who are like that, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and I think society now has made it more mainstream.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Bowling for Columbine, like people, it's like very controversial. But I think if that was made today, it would not be controversial.
No, that would be on Netflix.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been like a huge deal, and people blamed Marilyn Manson or something because the kids like Marilyn Manson. Even though I don't like Marilyn Manson, I mean, like, whatever, he's an artist or something. But, like, I hate that thing where it's, like, blaming media or art of any kind for some sort of violent act. That shit pisses me off because people are like, oh, it's because of this that this person did it. No, it's this person's an asshole is because they did it. And just because they watch something that a lot of other people watch doesn't mean much.
Yeah, and like my old roommate, she's in grad school for forensic psychology.
Yeah.
So for her senior year, one of her classes was all about serial killers.
That's fascinating.
So she used to just come home and be like, guess who I learned about today? And we're just like naming off serial killers. And she was like, no, it's like really interesting. Like you look at the pattern of things and they're like, all the serial killers are like related in some...
Yeah, there's like things that are like yeah.
With whatever it is, but they're all related, and then it just escalates from there. But she's like, you just have to find out what made them start from like point A to made them go all the way to go to point Z.
Yeah, it's like the like hurting animals is like a thing, and like starting fires. There's like signs that
decapitating dolls.
Yeah, it's like there's like certain things that are there. Which this is a very strange topic. There was something I was going to mention. Have you seen Saw?
Yes.
I've recently been rewatching the Saw films. What the fuck is going on in those films? Like, we should review the Saw films. Like, we should do a commentary for those because those films are profoundly strange. And I
don't get how they're a big thing. Like,
yeah,
I like them.
Yeah, it's like...
But, like, I still don't get how they're, like, a massive thing where everyone's like, have you seen it? Like, what'd you think of this scene?
Yeah,
like, it doesn't make sense.
It's just a gore porn, the movie, where it's like, how creatively can we kill someone? And, I mean, I rewatched Saw 1, 2... I couldn't find 3. I think I saw 5. 1, 2, 5... and then Jigsaw are the ones I rewatched. And by the time it goes to 5 and Jigsaw, it's just like laser traps and the most like outlandish shit ever. It's like, who the fuck would build this? This is impossible. Like, no one has the engineering skills to build this by themselves in a fucking cellar. No one.
Yeah. And that is why there should not be that many sequels.
Exactly. Like, the first 2 are like fairly believable, where it's like, okay, I guess you could lock someone in a house or in a basement and like that's really scary and kind of realistic. But the rest of them, it's like, you're tied to a car that's about to explode with razor blades. You have to untie yourself and your skin is duct taped to the seat. It's like, what the fuck? Who thought of this?
Yeah, it was like, there was this thing I saw on Facebook and it was like, have you made a movie? Like, have you made a sequel? Yes. Should we make another one? And it's like, no, but can it be profitable with like merchandise? And then it's a yes, make another one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. It's like, I don't know how we got on this topic. Also, Mindhunter's really good. I've been watching it.
Right? It's so good.
I know. That's a thing that's out that we recommend that you watch if you don't want to think the same. Also, there's a website.
It's also a book, so you can read the book.
Yeah, it's like watching a movie, but it makes you sound smarter.
Yes, it's the same name, so you don't have to search that far.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the website Family Watchdog?
Yes.
I heard of that recently, and I looked it up. There's a lot of sex offenders that live very close to where I live, but I also live in a city, but...
Yeah, we used to do that in, like, high school.
Yeah. I kind of want to knock on their door and be like, so, you diddling people? I saw this online.
Well, I know there's, like, different categories, like, different things. Like, I think it's, like, if you do, like, public indecency for, like, so many... I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me on this. But, like, public indecency for a long time, you could be registered as a sex offender.
Oh, don't worry. I know someone who was registered as a sex offender because he got caught peeing in public 3 times. That's a thing.
Yeah, see? So we don't really know.
Hey, blank. Here's what I'm going to say to you about this. Because I know you listen to episodes sometimes. I understand you're on this list already. Maybe next time you're drunk and you need to pee, how about you just pee in your pants? Because you know what happened now? You're a sex offender because you whipped your dick out in an alley 3 times. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. So next time, don't do that. Just pee in your pants. What are you doing? I'd much rather pee in my pants than be on a sex offender list.
But if you're in an alley, can't you just go back inside the establishment and go pee? Unless you got kicked out.
Knowing this person, he was very drunk. Very, very drunk. Like, profoundly drunk. So, I don't know if that crossed his mind. I think his mind went to, me need pee, me pee now. I think that's his mind went to chimpanzee state. Like, Charles Darwin was wrong. He reverse evolved into a chimp to pee, and then re-evolved back into a man. I almost said his name. Thank God I didn't, because I'm not editing this episode. I am so tired. I don't know how we got on this topic. The Joker, yeah. It's a thing. I'm excited. You watched a movie on the plane yesterday, on the way home. What movie did you watch?
Tolkien.
Did you like it?
I really did. The storytelling really got me.
It's phenomenal. It's such a heartwarming film. I loved it so much. What's the story? What's the movie about?
It's mainly about Tolkien's life, and the events that led up to him writing The Hobbit and all of Lord of the Rings books and the whole series. But it's not like a story about him writing Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. It's a story about what in his life affected him and how he came up with the story of the fellowship and, friendship and love and magical creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah, it basically explains exactly what you said. It really does explain why the story isn't about romance, why it's about, like, brotherhood and friendship, but there are, like, romantic-y elements, but it's not a romance story. It follows, like, friends. And that's, like, the biggest thing. What's up?
Sad story.
Yeah, it's a very sad story. I mean, like, spoiler alert for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, for those of you who don't know the story, those films don't really have happy endings. I mean, yeah, the ultimate goal is achieved, but the main characters, Frodo and Gandalf, die. I mean, they go off to the Grey Havens, but that's dying. Like, they go to heaven, essentially, with Bilbo. And it's kind of like, yeah, you achieved what you needed to, but it basically killed you to do it. And it shows, like, why the Lord of the Rings, it, much like a lot of other stories, are just about some average guy, Frodo, who's put in a real shit situation and has to, like, rise to the occasion. There's no, like, prophecy. There's no destiny. It's just, dude, you got stuck in a real shit spot. You have to do this or it's going to kill you. And that's why I think The Lord of the Rings resonates with so many people, because it's anybody. Like, anybody can be Frodo. Everybody has been in that spot where it's like, you just got to do this. And it's not fun, but we got your back. And the movie Tolkien really displays that. And I think it's a really sweet look at his life and like how hard J.R.R. Tolkien's life was, and how he channeled that into something that so many people love. And that's like probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, fantasy series of all time.
Yeah.
And what's up?
I said, you pointed out yesterday, because like I had no idea, because I'm not a big a fan of Tolkien like you are. But like the movie had like certain elements that showed parts of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I had no idea. Like I just saw like random things. I was like, oh, okay. Like I just thought like, oh, that must be important. I thought it was like foreshadowing something.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, it's interesting that the scenes of him in World War I had a lot of symbolism and a lot of imagery that was very mythological.
Yeah.
It was very, very powerful in what they showed, and where you can kind of deduce, like, oh, this is why he probably wrote this. But J.R.R. Tolkien himself said he doesn't like allegory. Allegory's weakness, and it shows that an author isn't creative enough to make his own stories. And that's a Tolkien quote, basically, where the story isn't allegorical for anything. But, I mean, every writer and every creative, whether you be filmmakers like us, writer, like a poet, like a physical, like painting artist or musician or whatever, you take your own life experience and you do put them into your stories. But they don't have to be an exact allegory for anything. And I thought that was really interesting. And you can kind of see in the Tolkien film who in his life are the characters in the story. Like, this character is very clearly this character. This character very clearly inspired this other character from the like Tolkien legendarium. And yeah, I genuinely loved it. I'm really glad you enjoyed it as well, because you're like, I'm watching Tolkien, I'm like, fuck yes, finally. We can talk about it.
Yeah, I was surprised, the airplane had it. It was like under new releases, and I wasn't expecting to see it at all. It was like the last one on the little row.
Oh. I mean, I think that would be a really good airplane movie, because it would really grab your attention the entire time. It's not one you'd be like bored during, but it really hook you.
Yeah, and it worked because my plane was delayed, so I got to actually watch the full movie. If my plane wasn't delayed, I wouldn't have finished the ending.
Yeah, how long is it? Because I've only seen it once. I actually bought it.
It's 111 minutes.
Oh, okay. So just shy of 2 hours.
Yeah.
Damn. That's longer than I thought. But it's not in chronological order either, so I think that's why it breaks up that pacing. Because the whole film is essentially flashbacks. Yeah. It's like flashbacks within flashbacks.
Yeah. The only thing that I didn't get, you see the brother, and then he's never mentioned again until midway towards the end.
Yeah, I think that's probably because whoever's writing the screenplay definitely probably talked to Christopher Tolkien, who's J.R.R. Tolkien's son, or one of his sons, and I'm sure Christopher was like, yeah, it's not important. Like, you don't need to add him in. Like, he probably was, like, a big deal in Christopher's father's life. His uncle was probably a big deal. However, it probably wasn't super necessary for the exact, point of the film. Just because, just like when they were doing Lord of the Rings, the thing they did to change the books to the films were everything that's not Frodo-centric, they cut out. So there's a character named Tom Bombadil that they cut out. There's a character named Glorfindel who saves Frodo, not Arwen, and they cut him out because it having Arwen save Frodo is more conducive to good storytelling. So it's the same kind of thing. You have to hack and slash a few things to make a story work.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really nerdy on everyone there for a hot sec. I apologize. But I'm glad you liked it.
It was really good. I thought Nick Holt did a great job at it.
I honestly did as well. Like, we were talking about this earlier, where after you saw him as Beast in X-Men, you got turned off by him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was his fault, because I know it wasn't, but I kind of felt like midway through the movie, he was kind of just like, screw it, I don't need to do it. I mean, that's just how I perceived it. He probably gave it his all.
Yeah.
With everything he has, but I don't know, that just was the feeling for me and majority of the actors in that franchise for those films.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think which is the X-Men? The first one is really good. Yes. The one where it's the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
That one is really cool. But the rest of them kind of do suck a lot. Even Days of Future Past, I don't like it. It's not good.
I kind of feel like it's like the Transformers franchise.
Oh, yeah. 100%. But I think I've only, with the Transformers ones, ever seen the first one.
I saw the first one and the second one, and then I didn't see the rest of them because I was like, the second one isn't that good.
Yeah, I think I've definitely only seen... I've seen bits and pieces of some of the other ones because one of them was filmed in Chicago. And I remember when that came out, a bunch of my friends were like, dude, like, we gotta go see it. It was filmed in Chicago. And I was like, I'm good. And I think I was probably like 16 at the time when that came out. Probably like 16 or 17. And I was like, man, this still sucks. Not fucking seeing this. And I saw like part of it when it was on like Netflix or something.
Yeah.
But it's just like jagged metal crashing to jagged metal. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm not really that big of a Michael Bay fan either. It's just all like action, 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 very little dialogue.
Parallax shots of shit spinning around shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently he's also not a nice person. I have no idea though, but that's the word. That's the word that he's not a nice guy, but I've never met him, so I have no idea. Michael Bay, if you listen to this, come on the show. Prove to me you're a nice guy. Or prove to me you're not a nice guy. I'll talk to you. You seem cool. You've made a lot of very successful movies, and also Pearl Harbor, which is a horrible film. It's time for me to burn bridges. That movie is bad, though. So, by we, I mean Arianna put in work and created a list of things for the show because we were talking and had no idea what to do for the episode this week. So we decided we should talk about film essentials for someone who may have not seen a lot of movies before, or maybe has a friend who's a big movie person, or maybe looking to get into films for themselves. But before we do that, Ariel, what's your opinion of The Dark Crystal? Because we're going to hammer this home. Because I went on a 40-minute rant last week about it, so I'd love to hear your thoughts because I forced her to watch it.
Yeah, I was so confused. I was live texting Russell every little thing that in my mind was happening. I was asking him all these questions, and then I answered them myself because in the next scene it happened. I was just so confused. It reminded me of, like, the Muppets mixed with, like, Harry Potter for certain things. Like, one of the little creatures looked like Crookshanks to me.
What's his name? It's like...
Fizzle...
Fuzzball,
Fuzzdall, whatever. The little thing. Yeah. I was so confused. I didn't get why I related them to, like, the Tyrannosaurus Rex or, like, whatever, the pterodactyls, why they needed bodyguards that were just giant beetles when they were pterodactyls. But, you know, I wasn't...
I went back to the texts. Here, let's read some of these off. Honestly, these Muppets look like dinosaurs. One sec. Since when is E.T. in this? How is this family friendly? I'm only 20 minutes in and have so many questions and won't remember by the time we do the pod. It's just all of this. Like, there's paragraphs of texts from Arianna just being like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
They were stripping a Muppet. Like, that's not a family-friendly film.
Oh, well, besides the fact that they're stripping a Muppet, they were, like, brain-sucking the shit out of a fucking Muppet with, like, the sun or something.
X-Men. Oh, and the thing in Monsters, Inc. You know, where Randall wants to put Boo in the thing. And
yeah. Damn, I haven't watched Monsters, Inc. That movie is mad underrated. We should watch Monsters, Inc.
Although I will say, the second film...
Monsters University?
I loved it. But in the first film, they say that Mike and Sully met when they were in, like 7. And now they meet in college.
Yeah, that's like one of those oversights, I think. But just whatever. Besides that line...
Continuity supervisor.
Yeah.
Script supervisor. That's
you need a script supervisor on that.
Supervisor. So... I mean, I still love it. I'll still watch it. I'll still buy merchandise from it. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, I honestly, Monsters Inc. is such a sleeper hit. That movie, I think people forget about how good that movie is because that's a Pixar, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's not Disney Animation. It's Pixar.
No. Come on, Code 2319. If you look at that, it's like the first letters of like White Sox.
Yeah. That's
so creative.
Yeah, and they have like in all the Pixar movies, they have the Pizza Planet truck and stuff. And I don't know where it is in Monsters Inc., but people have found it in every single Pixar film. And
the AS-113.
It's like on one of the doors, I think.
Yeah, which is the classroom that all the Pixar animators went to.
Yeah,
whatever college they went to, I forget what the name of it's called.
Yeah, they all did. Yeah, they were in that. And there's like a few other things that are in every single Pixar film that you can find. I
do like watching the videos on YouTube where they found we found all the Easter eggs. And I watched for hours.
I love that. Like, as much as I have a problem with Disney monopolizing everything, they do make good movies. And that's like the thing where I'm like, as a filmmaker and film fan, I'm like, you got to respect it. And a lot of the stuff they do is very positive, and it's generally well accepted. And they also don't put up with bullshit, like especially with all the Me Too things and the Roseanne thing where she was real racist and a piece of shit. They were like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And I'm all for storytelling in a film. That's what draws me in. And I think Pixar does the best job at storytelling.
I think Pixar storytelling is pretty incredible because their movies are definitely family friendly. I wouldn't say Pixar films in general are children's films. They're for everybody. Yeah. Because you watch the first 10 minutes of Up and tell me that's a fucking kid's movie. That shit's not. So sad.
That's the scene where it's all silent. It goes through more emotions than anything.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's a story within a story.
Yeah.
I loved it.
The fucking Bing Bong thing in Inside Out, that's just not for kids.
Stop.
Yeah. I actually recently rewatched Inside Out. That's why.
And then Finding Dory, when Dory finally met his parents again. Spoiler, if you haven't seen Finding Dory,
I've not seen Finding Dory.
You haven't?
Nope. I know how it ends. I do know how it ends. Yeah, I haven't seen.
It's on Netflix. Go watch it.
Really? I should go watch it.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Finding Dory.
It's cute, little baby Dory.
I think the best Pixar. I love Up, not just because there's someone in the film named Russell. But Pixar film, if we're talking straight Pixar, I love Finding Nemo. I'm trying to go through them all in my head. Toy Story, the original one's a classic. Come on. But I love WALL-E. I absolutely love WALL-E.
Such a great film. Also underrated.
WALL-E's really underrated, and WALL-E's one of those films that's really heavy. It's definitely not a kid's movie.
Kind of telling you, we're all fucking up the planet.
Yeah, and we're all going to be fat potato pieces of shit if we don't get off our fucking computers and listen to this podcast in the gym. How about that?
Yeah, that's what I do.
I know. I listen to podcasts when I do cardio. I can't listen to a podcast and lift because a lot of times my podcasts I listen to are comedy. And if I'm laughing and I'm lifting, it's going to end very badly for me. So, but I can do it if I'm on the elliptical or treadmill or something. I can.
I won't lie. That's how I judge the amount of time that I spend at the gym.
By how long you've been listening to a podcast? Yeah, I've done that too.
The podcast is an hour and a half. That's how long I'm going to be at the gym.
Exactly, yeah. I've done that as well. And then I'm like, oh, sweet, I've done one podcast worth of working out today. Fuck yeah.
Or I have done one of our friends, his SoundCloud, his mixes, because they're like an hour or so long. I have done that a lot.
Yeah, I'll link his stuff in the description of this episode, because he's mad fucking talented. Everyone should go listen to him. His DJ name is White Wolf, and he's like playing festivals and stuff now.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I share all of his stuff.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented.
He's really good.
Yeah,
I listened to his mixes at the gym, and that's how long I stay at the gym for.
Yep, and he lived in our building in LA. Really nice kid.
He lives next door to me.
Yeah, he helped on the Red Deer. He was, I don't think he knew what a gaffer was, but he was a gaffer. If I asked him what his job on set was, he'd be like, oh, I helped with the movie. You had an actual job. It's in the credits. Really nice kid. So, yeah. Arianna, what are the essential movies that you sent me? Because I have some picks as well. We can go through each category and talk about your top 3 essentials and my top 3 essentials. And we'll see where we overlap and where we don't.
So I kind of went extra when he asked me to do this, just because that is how I am. And I did, like, the main genres, not, like, combos, because I felt like that would be way too much.
Yeah.
And for the sake of this time of this podcast, I cut it down. So I started with action, and I put Inception, The Dark Knight, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
All really, really good choices. I would definitely agree with all 3 of those for probably the most essential action films of all time. I think each one of those films kind of, in a lot of ways, redefined the genre at the time. Because Raiders of the Lost Ark is, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's Indiana Jones. Like, you can't get better than that. And then with Inception and The Dark Knight, they're both Nolan films. And whenever a Nolan film comes out, it's just unreal. It's... Yeah.
I mean, good for him, but, like, I don't know how he manages to do it every single time. It's not like it's a slow one and it's not going to be good. Everyone's a hit.
Yeah, it really, really, really is. But yeah, so which one of those 3 is your favorite action film?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I want to say The Dark Knight, but that's really just because of Heath Ledger's acting, so I don't want to base it off of that.
Yeah.
I'll go for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Honestly, yeah, I could probably say the same thing. I think it's most timeless out of all of them.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't feel like you're watching a 1980s film.
Oh, definitely. My list is... So we both have an Indiana Jones. I have The Last Crusade on mine, because it's my favorite Indiana Jones film. I have Star Wars. I just put Star Wars. But in that, you can just watch A New Hope. It's probably the best out of any of the Star Wars films, in my opinion. And then I only put 2, because my third one would probably be The Terminator. But some people consider that almost like a body horror. Some people consider other things. But I think if you're going to watch an action movie, I think The Terminator is really good. Or Terminator 2. Just because it is one of those films that is so, like, ubiquitously loved. And it's kind of such a part of, like, film culture is, like, The Terminator. It's referenced in other movies. It's referenced in, like, The Simpsons. Like, everyone knows, like, I'll be back. And it's like, everyone knows those lines. And it's kind of, besides Arnold Schwarzenegger being like a bodybuilder and like a men's health icon, it kind of put him on the map as like a legitimate actor as well. Even though, I don't know how much acting is in that movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So, for adventure, what are we doing?
I put Thelma and Louise, The Goonies, and The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's
I'm so glad.
good.
I love The Princess Bride so much. So Thelma and Louise is one that when I was reading through this, I was really shocked by. Why'd you put that on the list?
I mean, it's just a good story. Like, you can't go wrong with Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was, like, the first, for that time period, a female-led film. And it wasn't about, like, them, you know, doing anything not necessarily stupid, but it was about them, you know, being outlaws.
Yeah.
And really driving the whole force of the film, because every single situation that they made themselves, that was a turning point in the film.
Yeah.
And also half these films I had to watch in class, so...
I understand.
Kind of like explained why it was, you know, the turntable of the century or whatever time period we were in.
Yeah. For mine are a little different. I love Princess Bride. I would have put Princess Bride under comedy, but that's just, in my mind, where Princess Bride goes.
Yeah.
But for adventure, I have Master and Commander, which is one of my favorite films. It's a Russell Crowe film. It's based actually on a true story of the British Navy hunting down a French naval ship in the Caribbean. So it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, but historically accurate. And it is so good. And apparently, historically speaking, it's incredibly accurate. Like, time period-wise, costume design, what they're even talking about on the ship, based on, like, world events that are happening. It is incredibly accurate. It is one of my favorite films of all time, hands down. I love Master and Commander. Another adventure film that I was debating about and wasn't exactly sure. I'm going to put Cool Hand Luke on there. I just have always really liked it. It's kind of one of those films that just takes you on an adventure. Just, like, takes you somewhere. And it is an older film. For those of you who haven't seen it, go see it. It's just simply awesome. And then another one, I'll put it under adventure. It kind of isn't an adventure film, but I love it, and I have a really soft spot in my heart for it. The original Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know it's also kind of a comedy, but yeah. I absolutely love that film.
Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah. So then we're going to go... These aren't also, like, the best of all time. These are just, like, top 3 picks if you're going to just tell people, go watch these movies.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, under drama, like, I have Lord of the Rings, which is my favorite film of all time, but it's not always, like, it's 3 films. So, yeah. So, comedy.
I put The Big Lebowski, Shaun of the Dead, and Superbad.
Honestly, yeah, those are all really good, and they all hit different kinds of comedy.
Yeah.
So, by Shaun of the Dead, the trilogy, you mean the Cornetto trilogy of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End?
Yeah. I think Shaun of the Dead, like, it's British comedy.
Yeah.
But I think Edgar Wright does it fantastic with it being, like, subtle funny.
Yeah, it's very, like, witty. It's like,
Yeah, there's this guy on YouTube who does, like, I think it's, like, a why Shaun of the Dead is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes in depth of how it's because of how Edgar Wright wrote the comedy for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the comedy in it is so... It's exactly perfect for what it needs to be for that film. It just fits. It feels really organic.
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene in Hot Fuzz, which is another one in that spiritual trilogy that I love, where it's... the officer calls Nicholas Angel, who's Simon Pegg's character, and he's like, they've been decaffeinated. He's like, decaffeinated? And you see the 2 severed heads on the street, and you're just like... It's just, like, perfect. And, like, the whole thing with the Japanese peace lily throughout the entire film is so funny. And that movie is really ahead of its time with, like, some of the themes it deals with. Because there's even a line in the film where the mayor is like, we want to make... like, whatever the name of the town is. I'm going to say Little Whinging. That's the town from Harry Potter. But it's like, we want to make Little Whinging great again. They say that in the film. It's like, holy shit. This film is just xenophobia. It's like, what, you know those, like, Midsummer Murders things? like those, like, you know what I'm talking about, like those, like,
Yeah.
really, it's like that mixed with CSI, mixed with like Die Hard, mixed with just like comedy. It's like so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then The Big Lebowski and Superbad, which, yeah, I fucking love Superbad so much.
McLovin, ahead of his time.
It's my favorite line in the entire movie is probably like when Michael Cera leaves Jonah Hill's character at lunch. He's like, "You gotta leave me sitting alone like I'm Stephen fucking Clansbury." And you see the kid just eating like pudding by himself. It's so good. I
think I forget where. I was reading it because it was about like Booksmart. They were saying how Booksmart by Olivia Wilde is the same as Superbad and 8th Grade by, I forget the guy's name, because it's a story that tells it how it truly is to be in that age group during that time. Like, it's not fake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah. And I think Seth Rogen is just really funny, so.
Yeah, I think he's hilarious in that. On my comedy list, I actually have The 4-Year-Old Virgin, which is another Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow comedy. Just because I absolutely love that movie. I think The 4-Year-Old Virgin is so fucking funny. That movie will make me die laughing every single time I watch it.
Oh, same.
Then on mine, I also have The Big Lebowski as kind of like an honorable mention, because I think The Big Lebowski is incredible, but it's definitely not for everyone. I think some people watch it and they're just like, what the fuck is this? It's kind of like Fargo, where it's either you love it or you don't. I don't think there's people in the middle on those kind of films, because I absolutely love Fargo as well because I like the Coen brothers. Mm-hmm. But if you're not on board for that style of comedy, you're just like not on board.
Yeah.
And then my other comedies, I have Spaceballs, which
I love Spaceballs.
I absolutely love it so much. I also love Blazing Saddles and I love Young Frankenstein, but I think Spaceballs on there is my favorite. And then my third one, I have 4 on mine. There's a comedy that is like rated the best comedy of all time, which is like Some Like It Hot, with Marilyn Monroe is in it. Mm-hmm. And I just put that on there because that's one of those like essentials that you need to watch. It's like one of those film school movies. But then I have as my other one that I would just tell someone to watch in 2019 is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is another Judd Apatow movie. And I absolutely, that movie is for anyone listening, it's really funny for anyone who's ever been cheated on or just been dumped before, because it goes through all of the stages of like what happens in your brain, where it's like this whole like grief thing, and then you realize it, and then you like go back and forth, and they just do it in the funniest way possible. But it's also like a really real film where it's like, oh wow, like if you were going through a breakup, it's a really funny movie to watch, because you're like, oh my god, this is so fucking accurate. And it captures it incredibly well.
So in a sense, any Judd Apatow comedy, watch.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're so good. Like, for sure, watch them. So your next thing, your next category is crime movies.
Yeah. So I realized I had Dark Knight under that one as well. So I'm just going to do the other two. Goodfellas and Reservoir Dogs.
So both incredibly good films. I'm not going to get into my whole Quentin Tarantino thing and why I kind of like Quentin Tarantino, but I don't. I'm very like hot and cold on him. But I mean, Goodfellas it's fucking incredible. Like, that movie that's like one of the ultimate movies.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah,
the scene when they're going into the bar, the one shot of them just tracking through the bar and through the kitchen, that's like 4 minutes long, is fucking it's breathtaking how good it is, because it's just choreographed like to the T. I absolutely love it, and it just I can't say enough. Like, from the soundtrack to the storytelling to like how they give the recipe on how to make like the deadly sauce and everything. Okay. They give the exact recipe. Like the Binging with Babish made the sauce because they give the sauce,
and then he did the little the prison meatballs. We had to take the razor and thinly slice the garlic.
And they give the exact recipe so you can make it at home. Like if you pause it, and apparently it's super good. So I love that movie. I love Martin Scorsese and anything he does. And I know you have Taxi Driver in the list under drama, which isn't on mine, but it should be, but it's not. But so for crime movies, and then Reservoir Dogs, which I find interesting that you put Reservoir Dogs on there, just because I wouldn't have thought of that as a crime movie, it's interesting. Like that, in my mind, that's not, yeah.
They robbed a bank.
Yeah, no, I know. My crime.
Like, I think that's why they put it under crime, is because like they robbed a bank.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's not really a crime movie. It's more like a drama.
Yes, I could definitely. Yeah, it's definitely more of a drama, but it's incredible. Like Reservoir Dogs is a movie that's just dialogue, and the scene where Michael Madsen cuts the dude's ear off is so chilling. But it's such a good thing where he's dancing the whole time. It's one of those scenes you can't look away.
No, I love Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
Favorite character.
Oh, it's so good. And the opening scene where they're just talking about tipping, like waiters and waitresses, is really interesting. Where I'm like, okay, always tip. Just always tip. Just fucking do it. But the argument given is very intriguing. But I'm also like, you're a dickhead. Fucking tip.
Yeah.
So for my crime movies, I have for my first one, The Usual Suspects.
Oh yeah, underrated.
Underrated. I have The Usual Suspects and Seven, like both of them, because in my mind those two blend together. And the best thing about those crime movies is that there's a real life bad guy in them, Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
Then after that. We'll get into like each of the films. After that, under crime, I have Pulp Fiction.
Oh, good one.
And then my last one for crime films, I have the Sting, and I have Ocean's 11 because they're both heist movies, which is like a different direction to take crime. And then if you want to go one step farther, I have another honorable mention on my list, which is the movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. Partially because it's shot in Chicago, and secondly because my mom is in love with Harrison Ford, and I've seen that movie maybe 100 times. So I love that movie a lot. So it's on the list just because it's something I like, but that's not for everyone. The Fugitive. And then for drama and crime that's in the middle, I have Shawshank Redemption. I didn't know where to put it.
Yeah.
So
it's a mix of both.
Yeah, and I mean, my boy Roger Deakins was the DOP on that film, and I mean, that film is like flawless. Like, Shawshank Redemption is...
completely.
That's one of those movies you can only watch like once every 4 years because it drains you. Like, that movie's like 3 hours of... Oh, God.
I mean... You know, like, you're watching it. It does feel long, but, like, it's for a reason.
Andy Dufresne. That's, like, all I could think of is, like, the Morgan Freeman. Just say Andy Dufresne a bunch of times. But it's really good.
Yeah, I watch it, like, once a year with my dad.
Yeah.
That's it. No.
Definitely. It's so good. My dad loves it, too. I think that's a dad movie. That's, like, one of those ultimate dad movies.
Well, like, half these films my dad has shown me, he's like, oh, you'll like this. Yeah. And, like, all the Goodfellas, Godfather, that was, like, Sopranos.
Yeah.
Anything Italian mob, that was my dad.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm into movies as well, is because of my parents and them being like, watch this is good. Because there's always, Turner Classic Movies is always on, or some other movie channel. There's always movies on in my house.
Yeah. I feel like when my dad used to watch me and my brother, like... It's not like he didn't know what to do. It's just like he probably just wanted to sit on the couch and not do anything. So here, put on a movie. Watch this.
Yeah. I totally understand. And that's fine. Which is good.
Fine. I learned movies.
Exactly.
I become who I am. So thank you, Dad.
Exactly. So for drama, you have one movie on there that I do not
What, On the Waterfront?
No, Raging Bull.
Oh.
I do not like that movie.
Taxi Driver, On the Waterfront, and Raging Bull.
Yeah.
I had to study all of these in class, so like.
Yeah. Those are all very film school movies.
Yeah.
I don't fucking like Raging Bull. I don't like it. I don't like the movie. I don't know why. I don't like it. If we're going to do a boxing movie, I like Cinderella Man more.
I will admit, I do like Cinderella Man more, but...
It's not... Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
It's not as much of a you need to watch this film kind of film.
Yeah.
Like, I love the movie The Aviator, but it's definitely not one of those movies you need to watch. If you want to watch Leonardo DiCaprio go crazy and be Howard Hughes, go for it. It's good. But yeah, so your drama ones, why did you pick those?
I mean, I like, Martin Scorsese with Taxi Driver. Cannot go wrong. Fantastic job. On the Waterfront, it was like one of the only 50s movies that I had to watch in my 1910 to 1950s class that I actually enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
And Raging Bull, I just remember my professor loved the film, so like I think that's what kind of got me to like it, because he was so passionate about it, and we had like I had to dissect like the how the final fights, the boxing scene, the final fight. I had to analyze how that was shot the way it was.
Interesting.
So that was a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
why the cinematographer chose to shoot it from this angle instead of like 2 inches to the right, which would have given you this different type of shot.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to talk smack on someone else who likes a movie. Like, just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it rubbed me the wrong way. Also, my dad hates it. And I think that's why. I think the first time I saw it was with my dad, and my dad's like, I fucking hate this movie. The whole time. And my dad likes Martin Scorsese a lot. My dad loves that kind of stuff. But I think that's why I don't like it, is because it just ingrained in my brain. My dad's like, I fucking hate this. Which I don't know why he doesn't like that. We should bring our dads on the podcast and have them explain movies, because it would be, oh god.
I don't think my dad would know how to do that. I think he would just talk about he would go off topic, like worse than we do, and just be like, talk about something else.
Yeah, exactly. So, my drama category is like 7 movies. My first one in my drama category that I think everyone should watch, but I wouldn't recommend people just watch it, is Schindler's List. I think everyone should watch that movie. It's important. Fuck Nazis. And it's an incredible Spielberg movie. And I think it is definitely a must watch. But that's not one I would recommend that you just go sit down with your friends and turn on Schindler's List. Don't. Like, you have to get in the right headspace to watch that movie, because it's pretty powerful and you will cry. And if you don't cry, something's wrong. Yeah, and you have to carve out a good chunk of your probably weekend. Yeah, to take it all in.
4-hour film, but you have to you're gonna not want to do anything the next day because you're still taking it all in.
Yeah, it's really it's fantastic. Yeah, it is what it is.
It won Oscars for a reason.
Yeah. So I will say, yes, you should watch that. But the ones that I'll recommend people watch, of course, Lord of the Rings. Yes. It's my favorite film series of all time. The movie The Prestige, which is a Christopher Nolan movie. An underrated Christopher Nolan movie. The Prestige may be my favorite Nolan film.
It is actually also coming off of HBO Go. I saw that today.
Yeah.
So watch it while it's still on.
Yeah.
Or Netflix. No, I think it came off Netflix.
Yeah, it's on HBO Go. Maybe it's still on Amazon Prime. Then another one I will recommend people watch is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Yes.
I absolutely love that movie. I love Alejandro G. Inarritu. I love Emmanuel Lubitsky, who did the cinematography for it. He's one of my favorite cinematographers besides Roger Deakins and Alfonso Cuarón. So, I think Roma is really good, but it's also not for everyone. Roma is one of those films that's like for film nerds. But if you're not like into film, Roma will bore the fuck out of you. But it's really good.
Yeah.
And then for drama, I'll also say this isn't one I'll recommend for everybody, but if you're looking to talk movies with other movie people, I think you should watch Casablanca, which is like the most famous movie of all time.
That was actually going to be on my list.
Yeah, that's one of those movies. It's also not very long. It's only like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's a film that I think if you want to talk movies with people who've seen movies, watch it. If you hate Nazis, there's Nazis in it, and they get their comeuppance. So, and
it's also romance for the people who want some romance in their life.
It is a romance film as well. There's a lot in there. It's really good. Watch it. I mean, drama is the biggest category, I think, in cinema. So this one, you could go on forever. Yeah. But I think those are the ones that definitely watch under drama. So, under horror.
Horror, I have Halloween, A Quiet Place, and The Blair Witch Project.
Those are all incredibly good picks. They're also they're all very different from each other. They like showcase all the different pieces of what horror can be.
Yeah. So I remember watching The Blair Witch Project in class because I had never seen it. I've heard of it. And I really thought that it was like an actual thing. And then my professor came in and was like, whole class are idiots.
Yeah.
It's made up.
Yeah. But it's really good. I like it a lot.
I like it.
And Halloween and A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place, if for those of you who don't know, it came out last year. Go watch it. Yeah. It's really good.
It's a different type of horror.
It is.
It kind of went with Get Out. It redefined
the horror genre.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really good. And it's John Krasinski, who's Jim from The Office, his directorial debut, and he fucking crushed it. Yeah.
And he has his wife in it too, so that was Emily Blunt. Anything she's in is fantastic ever since The Devil Wears Prada.
And she's
every film that she has been in.
Another one that I think would go good under both drama or adventure or almost even horror, Sicario. Which she's so good in Sicario. Like her performance is like heartbreaking. Just like what she has to do like in that line of work fighting the cartels, like how it breaks you.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And Emily Blunt is fantastic. So, yes. Totally 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,0
Yeah.
So my horrors are a little different. So my horrors, we definitely have overlap. My first one is Alien from 1977.
Good one.
Fucking go watch Alien. It'll scare the shit out of you.
Alien.
Yeah, it's a classic. They reference it in Spaceballs. They reference it in a lot of things. It's really good. After that, this I wouldn't consider truly a horror, but it is one of my favorite films of all time, Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
I would say it's more of a horror or drama than anything, but it is... I saw that movie when I was like 13, so it was a horror to me.
Yeah.
And then...
There's elements of horror in there.
There are definitely elements of horror, and it's really fucking good. And I love Guillermo del Toro so much. And the film is all in Spanish. It's a Spanish... or it's a Mexican film. Go watch it. You're going to have to read some subtitles. Who cares? Fucking watch it.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Also, another good movie that isn't horror, but is kind of like chilling to the bone, is if you've ever seen a movie called Old Boy. With, it's... I think it's a Korean film. It's the one with the long hallway fight scene.
Oh, okay.
With the hammer. It's not a horror, but it's very gritty and real and very unsettling. But there's no like jump scares. It's just very like afterwards you like want to take a bath. But my final horror film that I will recommend 1,000,000%, or it's Donnie Darko and The Babadook. They do go hand in hand because one of them is about schizophrenia, and the other is about depression, which are very, very, very different mental illnesses. However, they both tackle it in a horror way, which is close to my heart because I love horror. That's like the genre I like writing in. And Arianna, myself, and Ben are working on a film that takes a lot from Donnie Darko and a lot from The Babadook.
Yes.
So I fully recommend both those movies. But also, if you watch The Babadook, do not watch it at night by yourself. You will check your closets and under your bed as an adult. Because I saw that movie when I was probably 21 or 22. And I legitimately was checking behind my shower curtain for probably 6 months.
I did that after watching Psycho.
Oh my god, yeah. You can't shower with the curtain closed after you watch Psycho. You can't.
No, I have to check the curtain every time I go in there.
Yeah. I can... Yes. And then you added a category to this that I didn't anticipate. You put musicals.
Yes.
I am going to say something right now that's going to be very controversial. I love live theater. This isn't the controversial thing. If you don't love live theater, what are you doing? But I absolutely love live theater. I love The Book of Mormon. I love Wicked. Wicked is incredible. I love Hairspray, and I love Hamilton. Those are like my favorite plays I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly think musicals translate very well to cinema, and that's why I only have like one true one on my list, which is Les Miserables.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because I love Les Miserables as a story, and that movie's fantastic, except for the fact that Russell Crowe can't sing.
Yeah, poor choice.
Yeah, that's the only one I have on mine, but your list is definitely more thought out than mine, because when you were like musicals, I'm like, oh shit, Les Miserables? Like, that's all I could think.
Yeah. Well, like, when I was in high school, like, so, as you mentioned before, you went to an all-boys high school, I went to an all-girls, and the boys' high school did 2 musicals a year. One was always a plays. Mm-hmm. One was always a drama, and the other one was always a musical.
Yep.
So the 3 that I have, well, they did 2 out of the 3. So I have Mamma Mia, West Side Story, and Grease.
Did they do Mamma Mia?
No, they did not. They did West Side Story and Grease.
See, they didn't go for the cool one. Because if they did Mamma Mia, that'd be fucking awesome.
I mean, I love Meryl Streep, which is why I kind of put Mamma Mia.
I didn't even think of that. I also love Mamma Mia.
It's classic. I saw it on Broadway when it did the revival.
That's sick.
Because my mom wanted to go see it, so so I've seen all of them live theater and in a high school setting. But musicals, I don't know if I'm gonna see the new West Side Story.
Yeah, I have no desire to see it,
even though they are shooting it in the state that I live in.
Yeah. I heard a bunch of the production stuff looks really cool, but it's not one of those films I'm like, eh.
Yeah, you can't beat, Natalie Wood being Maria, so I don't know if I want to see the new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Grease is just a classic, really.
Oh, yeah.
John Travolta, one of his major films that everyone knows him from, other than Saturday Night Fever.
Yes. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I don't think it's really for me, but it's a fantastic film. It's one of those ones that, I don't love it, but it is, objectively speaking, a really great film, because it's one of those things that stood the test of time.
Yeah, I think all this is really just musicals, romance, so it's really...
Yeah.
Geared towards women. So that's why a lot of women prefer, these musicals.
Yeah.
Besides, La La Land's a musical, but, I don't really categorize it as that much of a musical.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I would have categorized it either. I did like La La Land, and they filmed it at where I used to work, so... Yeah. Which is cool. The scene where Emma Stone is in the casting room, that's where I used to work. Yeah. Which is a cool thing. And then... Yeah, mine's Les Miserables, which is 9.5 hours. But that movie will also make you cry. If you don't cry during Les Miserables, you're not a real person. Come on.
No. And you can watch Nick Jonas do it on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, they did over in London. It's actually the girl who plays Eppeline, Samantha Barks. She's also in it. and Nick played Marius. So it's just them, like, it's like, I think it's like the 25th anniversary or whatever, and they're just on, you know, the North End on the stage, and they're just singing it. Like, it's not really acting. They're all just standing there singing, and they all move in and out.
That's really cool.
Comes out. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'll have to watch it. If you guys haven't seen Les Miserables, go watch it. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, it's live singing, you know, the first one to do that.
Yeah, and there's only a few points where I'm like, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But probably through 85% of it to 90%, I was like, this is really cool. There's a few scenes where characters are running around and where Hugh Jackman's character is literally in human shit, climbing out, where the singing gets a little, like, shaky because it's like when you go see a live concert, you can tell when they're lip syncing and when they're not, because when you're talking, you can hear your footsteps when you're talking or when you're singing.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the movie. Like, there's scenes where they're, like, straining, so it's like this instead of smooth. But it can add to that, like, what word? I was going to say mise en scène, which is a film school word, but it's not mise en scène. I'll say je ne sais quoi of the film, because we were talking about French.
Also, Anne Hathaway is phenomenal in it.
Yes. She's so good. Even though I don't love everything Anne Hathaway's been in, she's very good in that film. And then the last one, which is romance, is one that I had a lot of really, really, really hard ones to pick from to do good for the romance. So, what are yours?
I have 10 Things I Hate About You, A Walk to Remember, and When Harry Met Sally.
So why did you pick those ones? Besides the fact that you probably like them.
Yeah, I love 10 Things I Hate About You. One of my favorite films. A Walk to Remember is honestly the only Nicholas Sparks movie that I can stand. Mm-hmm. And When Harry Met Sally, I mean, it's just one of, like, the first ones that everyone was like, oh, like, do you want to watch a romantic comedy? And it's like either When Harry Met Sally or You've Got Mail. Oh,
okay. Yeah. So mine, a few of my picks for romance aren't exactly what you'd think of, like, romantic. They're like platonic romance as well, in a platonic relationship. So my first one is a strict romance, which is The Shape of Water.
Oh, yeah.
Is the first one on my romance category. After that, I have Gladiator, because it's about Maximus, or Russell Crowe's character, coming to, like, avenge his family and, like, doing it for love and putting himself through all this to try to get some sort of, like, closure. And I think it's a really powerful story, and it's one of my favorite films of all time. And it does have a lot of, like, romance elements in it, where there's, like, brotherhood and everything else, and I absolutely love it. Then after that, more in the actual romance, is The Grand Budapest Hotel. Because Zero and I forgot the female character's name. Their romance is really good, and it's a driving force in the movie. And the relationship between Monsieur Gustave and Zero is just incredible. That dynamic is so good. Then after that, I have Midnight in Paris, which is a romantic.
Oh, I love that movie.
I absolutely love Midnight in Paris. It's so good. Partially because I like French stuff, and I like history, and it has all of that. Even though Woody Allen is a horrible person, it's a good movie.
He makes good films.
He does make good films. And then
Good person makes good films.
The last two films I have are both Italian films. So the last two I have are La Dolce Vita, which is like The Sweet Life, which is a Fellini film, and if you haven't seen La Dolce Vita, it is incredibly good movie. It is probably from the 50s or 60s in Italy. Go see it. A lot of films reference it. There's a lot of shots in that film that other films replicate, and you will see things in it. They're like, oh my god, like, that's where this is from. Or, like, lines or certain things. It's fucking awesome. I absolutely love that film. I watched it, like, in school for the first time, and I legitimately fell in love with that film. And then my last one, which is another one that's more about, like, love than romance, is another Italian film called Life is Beautiful.
Oh, I love that film.
The acceptance speech from the director and main actor from that film at the Academy Awards is the most heartwarming thing you will ever see, where he jumps over the seats and he forgets his own words and he's just like, I love all of you, thank you for all of this. And it's just one of those things where, like, how powerful filmmaking can be for other people and, like, what it really means to create something that's true to you. And I think because of all those reasons, it's in the romance category. And if you haven't seen Life is Beautiful, watch it. That movie will give you, like, tears of sadness and joy, and it just shows, like what people will do for, like, love. And it's so good. So
it's amazing. It's incredible.
That is the one for... Those are my romance ones. And that was probably the hardest category for me to pick. But yeah. And I know some of those dance between different genres. But if you've seen any of the films we talked about, hopefully you've seen at least some of them, watch them. If anything we've talked about interests you, you should, because I think all of those are incredibly good films, and there's something in there for everyone. The only category I'd say maybe steer away from if you're not super big into is the horror one. Besides that, look into it. Like, pause the podcast, type down the names. Yeah, I think all of those are our recommendations. I mean, we hit our recommendation quota for the next, like, 6 months. But, yeah. But, yeah, so, is there anything you have for the podcast?
No, I think that's it. Do you have anything?
I think that's it. I actually ate before this, so I'm not like, damn, I need to get out here to eat. And it's not 1,000 degrees in this room because I was sweating at the beginning of this, but now it's actually really nice in here, the room in which I podcast in. So yeah, I think that's an episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. It was a little different, more freeform, but we did clearly put some work into it, more than when I'm by myself just talking.
You did write a list, so you put work in. I thought I would have, piggybacked off that for this week.
I know, right? Like, last week I took notes, now I'm making lists. Look at me being professional.
Let's see if this keeps up next week.
No, it's all going down the drain. After tomorrow, I'm going to be in pain. I'm getting a tattoo. And so I'm going to just be like, just a wreck. And then it's going to be like, I don't think Ben will be on again because Ben's on Mars or wherever the hell Ben's at. And just doing Ben stuff. Spoiler, Ben's really busy with school right now. So it's just hard for him to make the time that we do the podcast normally. But Ben will be back. Ben's not gone. But yeah, next week I'm going to just be like, I'm sorry. I got this. My arm hurts. No notes. Back to the old formula of me bullshitting my way through a podcast that I upload. But yeah, there was one. I re-listened to last week's episode to edit some stuff on it. Because there may be a video I'm making from one of the segments, and maybe a video I'm making from one of the segments of this, where I was like, yeah, you should watch The Dark Crystal with a friend, or watch it by yourself and review it by yourself. And I get all sad. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I didn't even realize I did that on the show. I was like, oh, no. I got too real by myself on a podcast. Yeah. But, yeah, that's an episode. This is actually a longer one. It's an hour and 20-minute one. I hope you enjoyed it. Arianna, do you want to close it out, or do you want me to?
You can close it, because I screwed up the first time I did it. So now I'll never do it again.
Okay, so thank you very much for listening. This is a show called Nothing and Everything. It is a show about everything and nothing. If you like this, we have more episodes. If you're listening from LinkedIn or from Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, you found it randomly, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, whatever, iTunes. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to listen more. Contact us if you want to ask questions or something. I don't know. Contact us. I'll read it. Arianna will read it. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Have a good week.